Hello everyone, welcome to Kevin of Rezar. This is Reza and this is our daily sports show. We talk about all kinds of sports here. But last night was Champions League, so it will be our focus. We talk about Champions League first, then we talk about the NFL games coming and other stuff. So the biggest game of last night was Arsenal against Bayern. Bayern had a long time being unbeaten, got defeated uh, in London against Arsenal. Arsenal being quite good team whole year, and they seem to be consistent. So I think in total, to talk about it, Arsenal was better team, especially in the second half. They were quite better. Um, we can talk about Neuer maybe a little bit. The game, of course, finished 3-1. We can talk about Neuer a little bit. Obviously, way far from his prime. The other thing to say that in the first goal he was kind of bad in his exit, but he had also, some people say it was a foul, but nonetheless he was also quite bad in the third goal exit. He was almost a third or 40% out of the field, running, try to get a ball when he was passed by Martinelli. He didn't reach it fast enough, so Martinelli passed him and scored. But he had one good exit as well. He had one, two good saves too, but very far from his prime. And hurt me to say it, but maybe a little bit of a weak link in this Bayern Munich. It was super good, but he's still solid. But yeah, not top notch. Let's say Carl. So Arsenal scored on the corner. Carl scored a goal, kind of tapping. Came, I think it was from Olise, from the right on the floor, on the ground, not floor, ground. Carl being 17-year-old, scoring in Emirates, it's fantastic for him. Scoring against a team that I think didn't concede any goal in Emirates for a long time in Champions League especially. So brilliant for him. What else to talk about? Both head coaches, if I'm not wrong, got a yellow. I remember Arteta very well. I think Company got also. It was a little bit tense. Both wanted the win, but yeah. Odegaard came in, so out of injury, got the captain band. First it was with Saka, it went to Rice, and then Odegaard came in to him. And super scary Arsenal on corners. They seem to work for it, Bayern Munich, but still they're super scary nonetheless. And what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Subs for Arsenal were quite good. We are in a time in Premier League, some teams like Manchester United, like sometimes Liverpool are struggling, and when they sub players, and Man City also, when they sub players, it doesn't change much for them. But for Arsenal, it was very good. Skelly wasn't doing very well in the left back uh, last night, but when Calafiori came in, he was quite good, and he did an assist. So yeah, and the Martinelli goal in the three goal I explained. He just ran, and Neuer was out. The defenders were high, and just ran, and the goal was empty. So brilliant game for Arsenal. The only team 5 out of 5 because Inter also lost. To Atletico Madrid. We talk about it later, but also Bayern Munich. So brilliant, but the top of this regular season kind of thing will not win it. If you remember, Paris Saint-Germain was quite low and won it, so it's not guaranteed anything. Nonetheless, Arsenal with a good form. Bayern Munich not so much. They had a draw. They had a 2 goal behind game that they won, but still, and now a loss. But they can afford it, because they're Bayern Munich and the other teams lose points left and right, like Leipzig, Leverkusen, and Dortmund. They easily can afford it. Let's go to the other game. Eindhoven destroyed Liverpool 4-1. The thing is that, if I want to be honest, on the I didn't watch it. I watched the Arsenal Bayern game, but from the highlights, from the stats, Liverpool wasn't that bad, but they had two problems. One of it is that they had big chances, but they didn't use them well. They had lots of shots. They didn't create so much good chances, but the good chances they had, they didn't use them well to score. So again, they go a bit wide to the box, but not wide to the ground. So it's not a cross. It's not, but they're not inside. It's just very weird. They're positioning themselves in the attack, and it's not working very well for them. And what I can say is that, as I said it before, they need a good finisher, they need a good defender, and maybe one good playmaking in the middle would help them. That, and they bought for this, you know, they spent money on this exactly. 5 million, half a billion dollar, but it's not working still. So the other thing is that the first goal was a very very weird goal from corner. Van Dijk hand was like this, this, and touched the ball in the air. It was like a LeBron James moment, mostly than anything else. Uh, so he gave a penalty. It was his fault, very bad. But in the other situation, three other goals that they conceded, you could see that Van Dijk is not in his position because he has to cover up for other defenders. He's in their left back, right center, two times. Like, he's not in his position, so they need a good defender. Konate is not doing well on the right back. The first two choices, Frimpong and of course Bradley, are out. So their defense is quite weak. They need to buy a defender. That's 100%. That's it. So let's go through the goals. Van Dijk penalty. Prisic actually scored that one. Then Liverpool scored. Szoboszlai deflecting a rebound from the goalkeeper. He scored. And then mistake by defenders two times. One goal, it was in behind the defenders. They scored. And 4-1 for Eindhoven. Eindhoven is doing pretty well themselves. They're doing pretty well in the league. In Champions League, they defeated also Napoli with big difference. What's the solution? It's funny because Schlott is actually at the verge of getting fired, I think. I feel like. Of course, they have a game against West Ham, and probably they will win that. But it's tough position. I think 9 losses in 12 games. But what's the solution? I think seeing their defense and how awful it is, maybe, and hear me out, maybe Amorim way is for him. Like 3 central defenders, like 5 defenders, just trying to focus on one. Instead of 3 men on the front, maybe 1, and like make it a little bit 2-10, and like more defensive game, because you don't have the player to play with 3 attacks, and you want to be offensive, but your offense is not working, your defense is weak. At least help your defense. It's weird, I know, I said it. It's not working pretty well for Manchester United, that form, at least for now, but maybe it works for them. I don't know. I have a feeling. So let's move on. Atletico Madrid against Inter 2-1 for Atletico Madrid. They scored early, they scored late, and Inter in the middle. Inter was slightly better in my opinion. The first half they started strongly, good. They were a little bit better, I think. Till I think the 60 minutes they were still slightly better, but it was in Atletico home, and having Simone as your manager, shouting and full of energy, the fans, he encourages the fans are crazy at it, and Atletico Madrid became slightly better. I watched this game too with my phone, and Atletico were becoming better at the end, like more motivation to score, and they did. And they got a result that they needed much more than Inter. Inter didn't make it 5 out of 5, but they still have 4 wins. But Atletico Madrid needed and they had the passion for it. And Griezmann did an assist from the corner. It was the second goal. And what else? What else I can say? It was a close game. I wrote, yeah, and yeah, that's it. So Atletico Madrid getting a little bit form. They're getting used to the changes, and things are getting better. Let's go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid against. It was also a weird, full of goal game. All the games were last night. Real Madrid against Olympiacos, 4-3. Wow, like insane. 4-3. The defense of Real Madrid is quite weak, especially on the crosses. Two of the goals of Olympiacos were from the crosses and headers. They're quite weak at them. Mbappe scored a poker 4 goals, single-handedly saved them. Though Vinny Jr. also did 2 assists and was playing good. The best, I would say, two of the goals was that they passed very nice passes behind the defenders. That was received by Mbappe and becoming 1v1. The first goal, the third goal, and he scored. One of them was by Vinny Jr. The other I don't remember. I think it was by Kamavinga, yeah. It was a cross also from Goulart that he scored, and also amazing movement from Vinny Jr. Dribbling, going to the corner of the box and pass it out in the center, and Mbappe had the tap in. So the thing is that Olympiacos scored first, went ahead. Real Madrid scored the 2. Header from Olympiacos made it 3-2. Scored 4-2, and the last 81 minutes they scored Olympiacos, and it became 4-3. But they also made chances to make it draw. Like, it was a very dangerous game. Real is not on a good form, and this game, while they won, it was a necessary win, while Vinny Jr. and Mbappe were doing good. And on the attack, on the defense, they were quite weak, and they don't have Militao. They need him. Trent, it seems, not on his best game. At least it doesn't seem so. He's not helping the defense much, and they were weak on the crosses. Like the headers, any games I watched from them, they're super weak on the crosses, and they can't defend them. What else remain to say? Crazy assist, I thought. It's a very beautiful game. Watch the highlights, definitely. Vinny also scored the offside goal, which was offside by Mbappe because he did the assist. But also had a few good chances. He was a bit unlucky. They could score more, but it doesn't change the fact that they conceded 3. What else? I wrote. Yeah. One of the other things was that Olympiacos played pretty good. They should be proud of themselves, but they also gave Real Madrid a lot of space. If they stayed in their box, probably Real would have problem. They had problem to opening up spaces. One of the reasons Vinny Jr. and Mbappe were doing pretty good, and they were open. They're doing pretty good goals because they had high lines, and they could go behind it. Good lot passes, they say, go behind them, and they were quite open, give them a lot of space, and Vinny Jr. and Mbappe leave on those. So that was their mistake, and you can see from that. Still, this team didn't show me that they are good enough to attack or defend a team that plays defensively. Let's go to the next match. Another crazy match. It's lots of crazy matches. 5-3 PSG defeated Tottenham in Paris. It's not a win for Tottenham, but the fact that they scored 3 is good because they were offensively quite. They had a lot of problem to attack against Arsenal, attack against Chelsea. They couldn't create any opportunities. At least in this game they solved that, and it's a game that it's a reasonable good result. Not a good result, but acceptable result for them. 5-3 to Paris Saint-Germain. Paris started much better. Richarlison scored at 35 with a header, but at the end of first half, Vitinha scored a masterpiece goal just outside the box, and it was just on the top corner of the goal. Vitinha scored a hat trick last night, played amazingly, goals one more beautiful than the other. And yeah, Tottenham scored another goal and went ahead. They made it 2-1, if I'm not wrong. And Vitinha scored. It was the ball that he was behind the box, put it on his left, like that dribble, and shoot it. It was brilliant goal. One thing to talk about again. Let me see. I wrote all the goals. I just want to make sure that I mention everyone. The second goal for Spurs were from a corner, which they said they're pretty good at it, and you could believe them. I will come back to that. You could believe them. They didn't do well against Arsenal, but you could believe them. So the third goal, they were playing from the back, Tottenham. It was for Paris, and they lost the ball. They gave the ball to them, and it was a goal. And the other one was a corner. The fourth goal was a corner that the defenders also again did a mistake. They couldn't kick the ball away on the good time, so they scored on corners, but also conceded. Paris Saint-Germain is very good on corners, attacking, and they scored good goals from it. But Tottenham is not the best defense. It seems in Europe, even though if they are pretty good in the Premier League in England. Again, Paris Saint-Germain played from back, lost the ball, and they scored. It became 4-3. And a handball penalty, and Vitinha, they gave it to Vitinha to score and made it 5-3. If I'm not wrong. No, they made it 4-3. And they made it 5-3, and that was it. They just had a red card at the last minute, which didn't matter. Yeah, let's go. But it was a very close game. It was a very good game. 2 times Tottenham was ahead. As I said, they did 2 mistakes in their defense. The corner came in, ball fell on the ground. They didn't kick it away on the right time. The other thing was that, they played, both teams they did this, that they played from the back, and they were just losing the ball. And technically, I think at one point, one of them just passed it to the other of them. So crazy game. Let's go to Sporting against Bruges. 3-0 for Sporting. Sporting is doing good in the league, kinda. I think they're second. But Bruges doing pretty good at home, but not away. 3-0. Better stats for Sporting. It seemed like an easy game. Atalanta defeated Frankfurt 3-0. Frankfurt didn't lose in their last 6 games. They started in with a very bad defense, but they did some changes. It seemed working, and they were better. 6 games, no loss, and 3-0. They were at home also. 3-0 at home, not very good. Atalanta changed their manager recently, and they had 2 losses in Serie A. Maybe not on their best form, but maybe wins are coming, and changing manager did work for them. We should see about that. What other games we have? Copenhagen 3-2 against Kairat. Copenhagen scored 3 goals, Kairat 2. Don't have much to say about that. Monaco 2, Pafos 2. Pogba didn't play, even though he was on the bench. Pafos hit the bar early in the game, but later on they scored. I didn't see even one of their games because it wasn't in the highlights. But they had a corner goal, I think. I wrote it here, but I'm not pretty sure, if I want to be honest. And the second goal of Monaco was technically this also happened here. The goalkeeper passed it to the offense. Insane. That's about it. That's about football. That's about Champions League. I don't have much again to say about this. Monaco also not in their best form. Good game for Pafos in home. They're doing great for their own size and structure. NFL games to watch today. Fantastic games. Lions going against Packers. Both of them have 7 wins. Packers has 1 draw, and Bears has 8 wins, 3 losses ahead of them. So Packers and Lions really want that win pretty bad. It helps them in the, even if they don't reach to the Bears, it helps them in the wild card. But they can take on the Bears. One of them is winning if it's not a draw, and they can get ahead of Bears. And of course, Bears has a game to play, but it's very interesting game. Definitely worth watching. I probably try to watch it even though I'm out at the time with my friend. We're hanging out, but I try to watch it on my phone. I try. Cowboys against Chiefs, also playing every game for Chiefs pretty much is a must-win game at this point, kinda to put themselves in a good place. Cowboys are second in their division, but with very low level of wins, so they need more to be a wild card. And also Ravens going against Bengals. Ravens on the good form, Bengals not very much. We should see what will happen, but Ravens last week got the top of their division after Steelers loss, so interesting to see what will happen. Let's go to NBA. We will be very quick. Piston had a loss against Celtic in the NBA Cup. It was a long time Piston didn't have a loss. They had 3 wins in a row and had this loss, though they didn't need the win. If I'm not wrong, Piston already went to the next phase. Knicks defeated Hornets. Heat defeated Bucks 106 to 103. Good thing for Heat, but Bucks had 6 losses in a row in NBA, and Heat losing here. Not very good. Thunder won again. Who's surprised? They win pretty much every game. They barely have a loss. Barely, really barely. Rarely. Raptors defeated Pacers. Grizzlies defeated Pelicans. Spurs won against Trailblazers. Rocket defeated Warriors. Suns defeated Kings. All normal, as you expect. Not a weird result. Thunders also have a lot of wins in a row. It's crazy. Jawad Senderov, top of the FIDE World Cup, youngest player to ever win it from Uzbekistan and the first Uzbek player, if I'm not wrong, to have a candidate seat. They could have 2, but they have 1 for now, and they became second. And yeah, still Uzbeks very happy and they deserve it. F1 is happening this week in Qatar, and it's super interesting, especially is the sprint part. I think they have a sprint in Qatar, yeah? or the other one. I'm pretty sure it's this one. And Max fans are crazy and want to win. Let's see what will happen. Hopefully, I see you tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and write a comment, and we talk tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.